Ali, a 23-year-old who had recently inherited it, decided to live there. But from the very first night, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered on and off without reason, and indistinct shadows slithered in the corners of the rooms. One stormy night, as the wind howled and rain lashed against the windows, Ali heard a scream coming from the storeroom, a sound that seemed to rise from the depths of darkness, and with each cry, the dread within him deepened. He went towards the storeroom, but no matter how much he searched, he found nothing but old, dusty belongings. Days passed, and every night Ali heard a voice calling his name, a soft yet clear voice that could belong to no one. He was alone, in a house that grew darker and colder each night. Ali knew something was in that house, something he could neither see nor escape from. At night, incomprehensible whispers emanated from the walls of the house, as if spirits were conversing. Ali, who no longer slept peacefully, decided to investigate. He ventured into the basement, a place he had never set foot in before. Among broken vessels and ancient books in the basement, he found a diary that seemed to have once belonged to a sorcerer. The diary contained instructions for summoning spirits and otherworldly creatures. Ali, driven by a curiosity that led him towards ruin, decided to try one of these rituals. He lit candles and murmured the incantations. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the room, and the candles extinguished one after another. A roar-like sound rose from the walls, and a large, dark shadow appeared in a corner of the room. Ali, trembling with fear, looked at the shadow and saw red, glowing eyes staring back at him. A gruff and unpleasant voice said, "What do you want, human?" Ali, now regretting his misplaced curiosity, sought a way to revert everything back to normal, but the magical diary was no longer within reach. He realized that he had opened a door to another world that he could not close on his own. Days merged into nights, and nights into days, but Ali could no longer distinguish between reality and fantasy. The house, once a place of tranquility, had now become a prison from which there was no escape, and every night, the voices and shadows grew more and more, to the point where Ali no longer knew how to confront them. Ali decided that he must uncover the secret of this house. He went to the old library and began reading books that might guide him. Among the books, he found a letter that seemed to belong to his ancestors, a letter that spoke of an ancient curse and a demonic entity residing in the house. Reading the letter, Ali realized that his ancestors had made a deal with this entity for wealth and power, but the price was the soul of a family member in each generation. He now understood why his name was being called, and why this house never rested. Ali, now faced with a bitter reality, decided that he must break this curse. He began searching for a solution and encountered creatures more terrifying than the last. But with each step he took, the house sank deeper into darkness, and the voices and shadows grew stronger. One night, when the moonlight shone through the window, and everything was engulfed in silence, Ali noticed that the shadows had surrounded the room, their red eyes gleaming in the dark. A calm yet firm voice said, "The time has come." Ali, with no way out, approached the shadows. If you enjoyed it so far, please hit the subscribe button if you liked the video. As Ali approached the shadows that surrounded him, heavy footsteps suddenly echoed from the wooden stairs. With each step, the floor of the house trembled. Ali turned, and his heart skipped a beat at the sight of the creature descending the stairs. A tall figure with rough, black skin, glowing yellow eyes, and a mouth full of sharp, cutting teeth. The creature approached Ali and said in a voice that seemed to rise from the depths of the earth, Why are you here? This house belongs to us." Ali, feeling fear coursing through his veins, replied, I am the owner of this house. My ancestors have bequeathed it to me." The creature laughed mockingly and said, "Owner, do you think you can negotiate with us? We were here before you and will be after you." Ali, now realizing he could not confront these beings with force, asked, "Then what do you want? How can I break this curse?" The creature, now with a serious demeanor, answered, "Curse? You cannot break a curse that your ancestors have established, but you can make a new deal with us, a deal that might allow you to leave this house alive." Ali, with breaths caught in his chest, looked at the creature and said, "I will not make a new deal. I will break this curse." And with that, he ran out of the house and towards the forest that surrounded it. The forest was dark and cold, and the sound of the wind whistling through the trees sounded like distant moans. Ali hurried through the trees, the sound of the creatures chasing him growing ever closer. Suddenly, a thick fog enveloped the forest, and Ali could no longer see his path. He came upon a large ancient tree whose roots delved deep into the earth. Ali remembered that the letter from his ancestors had mentioned this tree, a tree that held the power to break the curse. He placed his hands on the bark of the tree and, with a trembling voice, began to recite the incantation written in the letter. With each word he read, a misty green light emanated from the tree, illuminating the forest. The creatures in pursuit, upon seeing this light, let out a scream and were pushed back. As the incantation came to an end, the fog settled, and the sound of the wind calmed. Ali felt as if a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He returned to the house and saw that it was no longer dark and cold. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and the sound of birds could be heard in the courtyard. Ali understood that the curse was broken, but he still felt that there was something in the forest that remained undiscovered. He decided that from now on, instead of fearing the unknown, he would seek to uncover the secrets of the forest. And although this story has come to an